gonna go ahead and get started. Xiomara, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
All righty. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tamara. I'm half of the POW Speaker Series coordinator, as it says right here in my background. And my other half is Xiomara, who's here with us today. And tonight we have three lovely ladies with us. We have Hannah, Kayla, and Nicole who are going to be joining us. And we're going to be learning about them a little bit more later on. For now, I'm going to pass it over to Xiomara, and she's going to introduce a little bit about what POW is, and then we're going to move it on to Mob so they can give you a little brief description of who they are and what they do.
Thank you, Tamara. So thank you everybody for being here with us today. For those of you who don't know what POW is, we are a business organization that aims to promote women in leadership roles and bring them closer to their career goals through networking, mentorship, and guidance in collaboration with peers and influential women in business. And Mobs, you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. Yes, so MOBS is a management organization for business students. We are another organization on campus, and we help students with business development by creating weekly workshops that connects them to different people in their professional jobs. And yeah. That's Mobs, and we're so excited that you guys are all here today.
Perfect. So we actually wanted to start with a little icebreaker just to get to know each other a little bit better. It's something light and fun. We're going to play a quick game of Would You Rather, which I'm sure you guys know how it goes. So you're going to put your answers in the chat, and all right, let's start. So the first one we're going to go with is, in general, would you rather have more time or more money? This is a very general question. Money, time. Oh,
Time.
that is very, very split. I honestly don't know what I would pick. Probably.
That's a hard one.
I think more time.
Same.
But I would want to say more money, but thinking logically, maybe more time would be smarter.
Nancy, that's a good one.
I agree with Nancy's money buys me time. I agree.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say the other way around, but that makes more sense.
Brianna, time makes me money. That's true too.
All right, Xiomara, you want to go to the next one?
All right, so we'll go to the next one. So ability to speak to all animals or speak all foreign languages. Oh my God, that's a good one too.
I tried to switch it up a little.
All foreign
animals. I think foreign languages, only because, and I'll say this, I've lived my whole life without being able to speak to animals. I think I could go the rest of my life without it. I don't think it's a skill that I've needed yet. So I feel like getting to talk to everybody though in every country. Yes.
But I would like to speak to my dog if that was possible.
That's true.
But let's go over to the next one.
Yes. So in your life, would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button? Pause. Really? You guys wouldn't want to go back in time?
Rewind. Neither.
Judy, you said rewind. Oh, Peter, you too. Shyla. There we go. See, I knew you guys were my people. All right, let's go to the next one, everyone.
Okay, so be stuck on a ski lift or an elevator. Oh my God.
That's a hard one because I'm claustrophobic, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think I could get stuck in an elevator.
Ski lift.
Ski lift, true. But imagine how cold it is up there. But I think I'd rather be cold than claustrophobic.
None. Elevator. Looks like ski lift wins.
One. Yeah, I think so too. Would you guys rather lose your hearing or lose your vision? When I was typing this out, I was like, I really need to think about this. Hearing. I think so too.
Hearing. Yeah, I think hearing too.
I think I would go crazy if I couldn't see anything. Obviously, you learn to be without vision, but I think it takes a lot more getting used to. Hearing, yes, I agree with everyone.
All right, I'll move to the next one. Batman or Spider-Man?
Who would you rather be, I guess?
Oh yeah, who would you rather be?
Batman?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man? I would rather be Spider-Man. Batman doesn't have any real powers, you guys, except for money. He has a Batmobile, though. I will give him that. Girl, Dark Knight, though. Yes, but
Like, I want to be the head of Wayne Enterprise.
that is true. But wait a second. But Spider-Man's best friend in the Marvel series, not the original, is Stark. You're basically like right there with the Stark Industries too.
Tamara, you're
He
clearly
does.
a man. Because I don't know anything.
Brianna said he's dead, sis. Well, girl, what do you want me to do? All right, let's go to the next one. Would you rather have to always say everything that is on your mind or never speak again? This is hard for me because I am a chatterbox. I never say everything. I couldn't, but what if
this, but speak your mind? That's funny.
I could not speak everything that was on my mind? I would get in trouble. All right. I already say everything that's on my mind. I guess I kind of did too. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, what's the next one? Lose your keys or cell phone?
All the time. Would you rather always lose your keys or your cell phone?
Keys.
How are you gonna drive though?
Keys, cell phone.
But I feel you. I'd rather have myself. Oh, you know what? You can call an Uber. You're right. You're right, Peter. Peter, we same minds. Great minds think alike.
Okay.
All right, you guys. Would you rather always be too hot or always be too cold?
Too cold, too hot, too cold.
Me too. I think in general, I love the heat more, but I don't think I can be too hot all the time. That is like insanity. All right, guys. And the last one.
So have your flight delayed by 8 hours or lose your luggage. Oh my gosh.
Delayed. Me too. Sure. You know what? I don't mind being in the airport. I actually really love being in the airport. It gives me like a chill vibe. Delayed. I have no, me either. And I don't even think I would fall asleep. There's so many restaurants and airports nowadays. True. All right, you guys. That concludes our little game of Would You Rather. Hope everyone had some fun. Now, Xiomara.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick picture right now.
I will stop sharing. All right. Whoever's taking the picture, let me know. Count us down.
Okay, give me one.
Alexandra, I just saw what you put. That is so right.
Who's taking the picture? Sorry.
I'm taking the picture. So everyone, if you want to be in the picture, please turn on your cameras, and if you want, give a smile. All right. Okay. So picture in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I have to take 2 though because there's 2 different slides. Okay, one more. Picture in 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. We are all done with pictures.
All righty.
So we'll go ahead and get to know our speakers now. So let's have you guys give a brief introduction about your career path and role. I think we could start with Kayla, maybe. Kayla, if you're up for it. And then we'll go over with
absolutely.
Hannah.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Kayla Sotelo, and I am the director of the Clinically Integrated Network at Memorial Care. And we are a large health system in Southern California with 4 hospitals, a bunch of ambulatory clinics, sites everywhere. And my role really surrounds our clinically integrated network where we partner with our physicians. And my role really extends to operations, supply chain, risk management, patient safety, efficiency, So I really work in so many dynamic areas of the hospital to really align our physicians and promote gain sharing. So what's good for the patient is also good for the hospital, which is good for our practitioners. And so what I really do is almost like a exponential project manager role, and I make sure that all the wheels are running and we're heading in the direction and really reaching our strategic goals. And so that's pretty much me. And I started off as a project manager. I've been in healthcare for about 10 years now, and so that's how I got my start. And that was your questions, right? Did you have one more, Zima?
No, that was it. Thank you for that introduction.
Okay.
And Nicole, you want to go ahead and give us an introduction?
Sure. So my name is Nicole Suarez. I am the director of the Women's Rights Department for Educación Diversa. And this is a nonprofit organization that was actually started by a family member of mine. She got in contact with me and we really started building it more. She had already mostly had the layout of it, but we have started the rebranding process this past year with a campaign that we ran called In Her Shoes, which was putting our shoes into these women who have to experience violence on a daily basis in many different countries around the world. They don't have the resources for sexual health, for reproductive health. A lot of them don't know the rights that they have as women or as children to even speak or to even talk about these things. And this was really close to my heart because I grew up in a Middle Eastern country where women really do not have the right to even think about any of these things, so let alone speak it. So to be placed in a position where I can use my platform to get other people involved, get men to participate in this conversation is super important in this time and in all times from before. So to really engage and move this work and this cause forward is something that has always been close to my heart. So to be able to do it with a community of people who are all around the world in different time zones, and we can really build something stronger, is the work that I am currently doing at this organization.
Thank you, Nicole. That's amazing. And then last one here is Hannah.
Hello, I am Hannah Avdalovic. I work for the Golden State Warriors as a social media coordinator, where I work solely on the Chase Center handles. So Chase Center is the brand new arena that opened in September of 2019. So I had been with them since just a little before that arena opened. Got to open this arena for about 6 months, and we closed our doors almost exactly a year ago. And have kept the social media feeds alive through the pandemic. So my job entails running the day-to-day strategy, ideating, and coordinating the content that goes on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and even Spotify channels. I work really closely with our PR teams, our marketing and creative department, video productive, and our brand to ensure that the content that goes there day to day is optimized for those social channels, and covering anything we do have live. Right now it's fanless basketball games, but one day again it'll be concerts and events in the plaza and all the fun things that usually happen in an arena.
All right, now that we got to know you guys a little bit better, we're going to start with the moderated Q&A. I stopped sharing my screen, that way we can see your lovely faces when you speak. I guess the first question, talking about the topic of the night, is what you guys feel your passion is. I guess we could start with Nicole, go to Hannah, and then Kayla, just because that's how I see you guys in my screen.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, my passion has always been to bring awareness and a platform to these silence voices specifically. So as I said, I grew up in a Middle Eastern country, and that was really kind of what incited that, being in there and seeing that from the early ages that I was there. And then once I got to university, writing, and even before that, I traveled a lot. So writing was something that I used to express myself and to be able to use that medium to really journal and get to know, how I was feeling, what was going on during those time periods. So my passion kind of stems from that ability to voice and express who I am, and as well be able to bring to light a lot of things that a lot of people don't really know about, or even have the permission or ability to speak on them.
Thank you, Nicole. We'll go to Hannah next.
Yeah, I would say my passion in all the hats you wear as a social media manager comes down to three things, and that would be being creative, obviously, creating human connection, and then making an impact. So much of the things that I find myself loving the most about my job always comes down to those things. I've known my whole life that I've been really creative, and a lot of jobs that I've had, that's what I've found myself gravitating towards the most. I think what I love a lot about my job is that it creates human connection online, but also through content. I think some of the best content are things that just remind you what makes you human, and that we're all kind of a part of this universal experience. And also it can make an impact. A lot of the why of my job originally was the music side of it, and it was really special to be able to stand in an arena and see 18,000 people kind of experiencing the same thing. As that has not been so much part of my job, what lights me up in the last year is actually just seeing how such a big brand can make an impact through just a really hard year that we've all had. So that's kind of where my passion lies with my job.
Yeah, it's definitely been hard this year. Kayla, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'd love to piggyback off of what Hannah said. I think that was so beautiful how she allocated or, alluded to how her career really aligns with her passion and how that creativity really drives her work. I'm exactly the opposite. So I'm very analytical, and I don't have a creative bone in my body. And so I think that the data nerd in me, the operational person in me, the really analytical person who surrounds myself with people like Hannah is where I really find passion. And I really love connecting with people who are different than myself, and really surrounding myself with people who are different than the way that I think. And I think that allows us to make really intelligent, strategic decisions as an organization. And then we leverage all of that to help our patients and to drive like the best care possible. So I find passion in taking something very regimented and analytical and applying that to ways to still help people. And that's where I find a lot of passion is being a data nerd, being a social person, very dynamic in that kind of way of being like a little chameleon in so many different facets of our organization.
I feel you. I also do not have one creative bone in my body. It's even the slides, don't hype me up on them because they were a template I used.
You're like, oh, that's pretty, right? You know creative when you see it. You just can't do it.
I agree with you. I'm a numbers person. I'm like, it has to like make sense to me. I have to see it. But to think creatively, it's a whole challenge. And people like Nicole and Hannah who can express that creativity, it's like, it's amazing to see it in action.
All right, thank you, ladies. I guess another question here would be, did you always know that you wanted to go where you are right now, like be in the career role that you are currently? Or like, how did you go about this passion to lead you where you are today? And we'll go at the same order.
Yeah, so this was not something that had actually planned like from the beginning that this was where I was going to go, but I did know that I wanted to be able to use my platform in some form or manner. I always thought that I'd be a writer or some sort of speaker, with the way that I was always very creative, and the experiences that I had traveling to all these different countries and experiencing that culture and the backgrounds of so many different people, the way that I grew up with friends from all around the world, was something that I was always very passionate about. So coming kind of full circle from, having been traveled to now being back here in the US and still having that opportunity to connect with people internationally, even if it's through Zoom or through WhatsApp messaging, or just having that ability to connect with them, is something that I'm very glad and very fortunate to be able to lead a team of people who think the same way, to have the same passions and interests are really incredible things that I'm able to still pursue even during this time period. So connection is something that I've always had a strong sense of from the beginning. And then these new ways of what we've used creatively to build our brand, to build our organization, to build our team, and to find these people through networking, through mentorship, through being able to have these conversations online and be able to then translate that into this global organization that we're building is incredible. And it's something that I'm glad to be a part of, to be able to use my platform to raise these voices for people who don't have that ability to do so, or don't have the resources to find it, is really the best thing that I can be a part of at this moment.
Thank you, Nicole. That's amazing what you do. And Hannah, you want to go ahead and
Yeah. So I definitely did not always know I wanted to work in social media. I think that's something that I didn't even know was possible, even the beginning of my college experience. Up until I was 15, I legitimately told people I was going to be a rock star. So working in sports and entertainment is something that, and especially the entertainment side, is something that has always been a dream for me. I didn't know how and if I would get there. Even through applying to colleges, had no idea what I wanted my major to be. For a long time, I thought I was going to go into psychology, but the idea of burying my head in a book for 6+ years, I didn't think was going to be too great for my own mental well-being. So I toured Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is where I went to school, and my tour guide was a journalism major. Her name was actually Hannah, which is a random fun fact. And she was talking about how her classes were video production and writing and photography. And I was kind of like, well, that sounds a lot more fun than just being a business major. I would rather do that. And that's truly what opened so many doors for me and made me kind of realize how important being creative and being hands-on was something I wanted in the job. Throughout my college experience, I just kind of jumped through any open doors that there were. And I had a summer internship in PR, and there's things I liked and didn't like from that. Then I had a summer internship at an advertising agency. There's things I liked and didn't like through that. And it truly wasn't until the end of my junior year of college, I was a digital intern at the Sacramento Kings in Golden One Center, where I essentially was the intern equivalent of my job right now. And that is just when it all came together. And I, for almost exactly 2 years, was chasing the dream of getting to where I was today. And that's when I started with the Golden State Warriors.
I love that you mentioned like every internship you took a little bit of what you liked and didn't like. And we were talking about this on Monday's event for anybody that was there, how it's hard to figure out what you want to do sometimes. And every like step you take, every job, every career, you take what you like and don't like, and you keep moving. It's like not a straight path. And we talk about how it's a journey. And I just love that you mentioned that, because it's full circle from the beginning of the week. Kayla, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I had no idea that I would fall into the position and the role that I am in. I did know that I did want to be in business. I was born a hustler. I came from humble beginnings, very humble beginnings in a very small rural town. And I knew that I wanted to get the hell out of there. And I was going to go into business and become a boss babe. And that was just my overall goal. And I moved to California with a few bucks in my pocket, following some boy. Don't ever do that. But I was like, I'm gonna finish school and I'm gonna get a great job. And that was my intent. And I had big dreams. And like I said, I was a really big hustler. And I interviewed for a big job, and it was for a large healthcare consulting company at the time, and I was so not qualified for it. And the CEO there, he said, I'm going to go take a 5-minute coffee break. And if you can fix this Excel sheet that I've been working on for 2 hours, the job is yours. And I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this, you know, and I really, really wanted the job. And so, you know, I feel like I've been faking it until I make it, you know, my whole career. And I feel like a lot of us are doing that. You know, we don't know what we don't know. But as long as we have the courage and confidence, and we keep pushing forward and we keep pushing ourselves, especially as women, to get careers that we don't think we're qualified for, you know, you really can achieve anything. And I never thought I would end up in healthcare, but not only did I end up in business, but I ended up in business healthcare. And it's been just my absolute passion and my calling. And I'm so glad that I really put myself out there, because I'd probably be stuck in the casinos in Laughlin right now if I didn't, you know, have that tenacity to do that. And I just want to encourage all of you guys to do the same thing, because, you know, I really think as women, we stifle ourselves, and we're our own biggest critics. And we always think that, you know, well, I need 10,000 degrees before I even apply for that position, or I'm not qualified for that. And I really want you all to really believe in yourselves first and foremost, because we're all faking it till we make it, and we all can do anything.
I love that you said that. We were talking about that, not to bring it again to Monday's, but a little bit about how we talked about how men are statistically like more inclined to apply for jobs that they aren't they don't meet all the requirements for. They just have that confidence in them. And I mentioned borderline arrogance sometimes, that they just feel like they're qualified for everything. They have that confidence to do that. And sometimes we as women lack that, and we should, you know, be just as not, if more confident. I love that. And I also love that you mentioned that you were just born a hustler, because I feel like some people are just born that way. I always struggled with finding what my passion was. I felt like some people knew naturally since high school what they wanted to do with their life. Like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor for sure. I'm going to be an athlete. And I'm just like, I didn't know. And it was so nerve-wracking. And I felt like throughout my years in community college, and even now at SFSU, I feel like a passion doesn't necessarily have to even be a career goal. Like, I feel like some people have passion for the hustle. Like, they don't care what they're doing. They're going to make it happen. So I really like that you touched on that, because I can relate to that a lot. So I also we talked about our passion a little bit. I wanted to talk about maybe what helped you find that. I know, like I just mentioned right now, it wasn't easy to find what I wanted to do with myself. So I want to hear a little bit about your story. This time we'll start with Kayla and go the other way around, just for fun.
I'm so sorry, Tamara. I was answering a question in the chat, and I didn't hear your chat. I have to be candid.
No problem. I just wanted to know, how did you end up finding what your passion truly was?
Oh, I think that everybody, you know, we have a directional compass, you know, like lodged in our hearts. And I really think that our intuition really leads us to the places that we're supposed to be. And I know that I lead every single day with my heart. And I think that, you know, I've always stood by my principles and my ethics and my beliefs. And I've always, you know, I've always sought out companies that I knew aligned with those same shared values. And I know that it's really corny and cheesy to like, you know, look up your company's missions, or we at my company, we call them IABCs, they're integrity, accountability, best practices, compassion, and synergy. And for me, I've always wanted to align with companies that have a shared vision that I do. And I think that, you know, when you're in the right role for you, when you wake up every single day. I mean, nobody's happy at their job every day. That's unrealistic, and that's not, you know, rational. Like, you know, some weeks are crappy, but, you know, for a majority of the time, if you go to work every day happy, you're in the right place. If you know that, you know, I think it's really indicative of some places really treated their employees really crappy during quarantine, because they've had to make all of these decisions so quickly. And I think a lot of people realize, like, this is not the industry for me, or this is not the company for me. And I think that the reason that I've always found the right roles is because I've always aligned with the right company. And that's always been my guiding, like, principle. Sorry if that was a little rambling, but that's how I always, make sure that I have the right cardinal direction for myself.
No, I feel that. Hannah, do you want to go next?
Yeah. So, I mean, I touched on this a little bit, but I think my journey to this job really came down to knocking on as many doors as I could. And like I said, kind of taking a little bit of each of those experiences. So from the beginning of college, I was trying to get as much experience as I could to kind of discover what I actually wanted to do. I thought at first it was going to be PR. So I took an internship doing PR with like very typical, like making media lists, cold calling news stations, like pitching the story. I realized I was really tied to the story side of it. I went back to school for my sophomore year and started running the social media for our student run news group, and realized I really liked the writing side of that. Again, like liked being around all these stories, but didn't necessarily want to be the one writing them and chasing them down day to day. I also really like the idea of working with like brands, and that was kind of when social media was like really starting to become a thing. So I liked maybe going more into like a strategic position, and I went to an ad agency which specialized in like music-based campaigns. And my favorite part of that job was like sitting in the meeting rooms and hearing them pitch the campaigns. So then again, I went back, continued to do social media. I also started to cover all the concerts and events on campus, and realized that like social media really was where my heart was, and kind of pulled in all these little bits of getting to write, getting to like be in the action, and obviously still feeding that strategic side of like, what is your brand, and like, how do you get people attracted to your content and follower growth and all that like analytical side. So that's the next summer is when I ended up at the Sacramento Kings. And I just realized that the sports and entertainment side of things really fed like my soul, and especially getting to be around music, as I've mentioned. And I think without taking all those little jobs, I wouldn't have, one, been qualified for that job, but also like realized that that's really where I wanted to be. I think another really important part of it is, aside from like what you want your job title to be or the day-to-day to look like, it is like what company is going to give what feeds you. So in doing a lot of interviews, I knew I wanted to be able to occasionally like write long-form content, or be able to do like a little bit of the behind the scenes producing for video pieces, and like be in the weeds with the content. And I'm very fortunate that I worked now for the Warriors that like really do value my growth and the things that I want to be around. So being able to ask the right questions in interviews and make sure, especially in social media, like it's always kind of in different areas and different companies. So just being able to advocate for yourself and make sure that you're putting yourself in the position you want to be at that company is super important.
I completely agree. We were talking about how important it is to have assertive communication as women. And that's always something we like to bring up every once in a while. Nicole, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so my story is a little bit similar to Hannah's, in that it was more from experience of just taking all of these different internships, different jobs, different traveling to all these different places, that I just started to understand and to see where I really wanted to focus my life and focus my career path on. So I did, a lot of internships with content writing, editorial, and those were really great experiences because one was with a nonprofit organization. So I got to know more about that life of how I had to, write these articles and also be participating in the fundraising against global poverty, as well as hunger, and fighting for that. So that also kind of kept going with my fight for human rights and for women's rights and for just these silent voices. And then when I went and did the editorial internship, I got to know more about the writing process and how that was something that I really love to do, is write and be able to use that as part of my expression. And traveling, being able to see the world were just really great privileges that I had to be able to experience something different than what was my own culture, what was my own upbringing. And my upbringing was always a mixture of cultures. So being able to have that from such an early age, and that it continuously came into my life. When I graduated, I went abroad to teach for a year in the Middle East again. But in a different part, I got to see a different lifestyle and a different way of life, and understand that aspect and respect it, as well as they respect, your own lifestyle and your own way of thinking and perspectives. So it's finding that common ground and that compromise. So from all of those experiences, it really just kept leading me more and more that I wanted to take initiative, and I wanted to be part of a larger cause that really was bringing forth this understanding that a lot of people don't know all of the things that you think that they should, about women's health, about children's rights, about all of these little pieces that from an early age you are taught, but they are never taught about these things. They're not even taught to even label a lot of the parts of their bodies. So to be in this organization that is so international, that really bridges all of those gaps and really tries to bring that education to a lot of underdeveloped countries, is a great is a great new step in my career path from where I started to now.
I think that's great. I remember when you told me that you went to school and everything in the Middle East, right? I just thought that was crazy because obviously those cultures are so different. And I can't imagine you're changing from going to school here to over there. It's very a drastic change. Xiomara, do you want to go ahead with the next question?
Yeah, so we touched on experience. So is there anything that you've learned from these experiences that had an effect to what you are doing now? Like something you learned maybe that applies to your role now? And if you want to go ahead, Kayla, or anyone, and answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely, Zuma. I think that, I take lessons every single day. I want to encourage you all to continuously grow, be open to feedback. I know for me, Tamara, you actually hit on it a little bit. I think for me, in the early stages of my career, I was a little bit overzealous. And constantly, trying to prove myself as a woman, as a young woman in a very male-dominated industry. And so there's this fine balance for me, definitely, that I had to learn between being, like you said, almost, what did you say, the word that you said? Not,
Assertive?
you said, yeah, maybe, no, you said almost to the point of something. Anyway,
Arrogance.
but to the arrogance. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, brain farts. It's been a long day. Anyways, arrogant. And so I think that for me, one of the things that I learned early on in my career is that, I walked into a lot of projects as a young project manager with something to prove, that I almost did myself a little bit of a disservice by being overzealous and walking in and saying, well, this is exactly how you can change everything. And one thing I want to encourage you guys all is to be more curious than certain. I think that was one thing that really resonated with me is, I found so much more success when I came to people, and in our industry, we call it go to Gemba. And I would be like, well, do you have the time to show me that? Or, can you explain a little bit more? Or can I get on your calendar and can you show me what you do every day, before I just went in and made changes? And so I just want to continuously advocate for being more curious than certain in any industry, but absolutely do not lose your, confidence and your assertiveness too, because, 9 times out of 10, you're right, with your intuition. And so it's just this really hard fine balance. And it's something that I'm still like honing even to this day. So, it's a struggle, but you girls got it. And guys, sorry.
Thank you, Kayla. It's amazing that you actually touch on being curious, because sometimes I feel like, well, from at least for me, like I feel like I'm bothering people, or maybe they don't want to, help out. So it's great that you mentioned that, for everybody to keep that in mind. So thank you. And then Hannah, you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah, so I definitely have a long list of things I've learned throughout the years, made a lot of mistakes in my life too. I think the number one thing in thinking back on all those is actually kind of like finding my own voice, creating a seat for myself at the table. I am an incredibly curious person, and I actually found it really hard. I'm a little naturally like more timid to speak up, and I think that's something I have learned even in a lot of like male-dominated industries. The music industry is male-dominated, sports is male-dominated, journalism is male-dominated. So being able to kind of trust my own gut and trust that even though I'm the youngest person in the room a lot of the time, or one of the only women in the room, that I am smart and capable, and I usually have a good read on things, and being able to speak up to that and know that it's something I should be saying is, I think in all the things I look back on that hold a lot of weight of mistakes I've made, that's something I took from it, is that I should have spoken up earlier, or should have been more aggressive in my opinion towards it. And I think especially as a woman, that's something that is universal and hard to learn. But being able to surround yourself with other strong women who you can lean on and learn from is super important.
Thank you, Hannah. I love how you also mentioned that you were timid, because I think a lot of us as women, even men, are timid to like graduate and then start this corporate job. So it's important to talk to other people and have your voice be heard. Nicole, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I think my experience was just the fact that even though I was in a Middle Eastern country, we were in this American bubble, because it was all of us that were Americans were living in this same kind of lifestyle. So I think the thing that kind of like popped that was when I came back to the US, and I really saw that a lot of things that I saw as normal back home weren't actually things that were normal. So a lot of it was just kind of understanding that they had that culture in the Middle East had their way of life, had their way of really silencing women, and we knew that that was just the way that things were. And so when I came here to the US for the first time, from having lived there for most of my life, and I saw that a lot of things were different, that I could speak up, that I could say what was on my mind, that I could actually use my voice, that I could dress the way that I wanted to dress without having all of these restrictions. I think that's what really started the fact that things needed to change in those countries, and they weren't going to do that overnight. Like that was something that gradually, step by step, needed to change, and that was wrong. So from that experience, I think that's where I really started to use my voice and to really be vocal about human rights, women's rights specifically, and being part of an organization that does that, that brings it, step by step, that is not something that's going to happen immediately, but knowing that, these things are wrong in these countries, and that we need to work together and unite with all of these underdeveloped countries that don't know that this is wrong, that this is kind of, they have no choice, that even if they wanted to speak up, they would be abused, they would be harmed, they would have to really find another way, but there's not a lot of ways for them to even escape their country or escape their reality, because that's just how they live, and that's how they've been taught and conditioned to live. So to really kind of experience that from not the most extreme form, but from a form that is extreme in how they control their women, to coming here and seeing that that is very different, and how privileged people who do live here are, was that really big kind of wake up call to really see. And even when I'm here and learning, I'm still learning a lot more about what happens in these countries, about how, even slavery still continues to exist in a lot of countries, and people don't speak up about those things. So from there is kind of where it continues to breed this this necessity to change things and change the way that things are going in those countries.
I
Yeah.
agree. Oh,
It's
go
really
ahead.
sad. It's really sad that other women in a lot of countries don't have this freedom of speech. So it's amazing that you're doing this. Tamara, you wanted to touch on something?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how I understand it's hard to try to help people without being I guess without forcing your type of lifestyle on them. I always feel like I know the best for all my cousins and all my family members. I'm like, no, you have to listen to me. I'm right. This is gonna help you. Like, but then you have to understand, like, everyone has their own journey. They were brought up in their own way, and you want to guide them without forcing it on them.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to my next question too about mentorship, guiding people. It's not easy. I feel like mentorship is something valuable, I think. Um, and I wanted to know if you guys have had any experience either mentoring someone or being someone that was mentored. We can start with Hannah this time for a change, and go ahead.
Yeah, I think mentorship is super important. Kind of like I just touched on, being able to lean on a lot of women specifically throughout my career has been immensely helpful. A lot of people I've worked under naturally became mentors towards me. Cal Poly Journalism is a pretty small department, so I cultured a lot of relationships with my professors. I think a lot of the times we get on this like path of like chasing a dream or chasing this career, and it's about like stacking up your resume, and like we think of mentoring or networking about being like, oh, I can do this and this, or how did you get there? And we don't stop and ask about what it's really like. And some of my most like meaningful relationships are the ones that said the reality of what things are like and how they got through it. Or I mean, even a lot of my friends are women in sports, and being able to talk to each other about what that's like and the day-to-day of it is incredibly important to me. I try to be a mentor to people. I am always open to talking to young women and young men and college students or whoever wants to chat, because I think we're all just learning and becoming, but never really arriving. And the more we can support each other, the better everything is.
I completely agree. That was a really nice way to put it. Nicole, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I think this is actually the first year that they've actually mentored someone, you know, in a more direct fashion. So just building up my team and having, you know, people that I can lean on from the past when it was a lot more work on me has been a great experience, because I really get to see from their perspective of how they're learning all of these things. And I know that from my own personal experience of being mentored by a lot of teachers that I'm still in contact with, who really kind of helped me, you know, see, you know, the different ways and the different paths that they took and the ways that they kind of thought about different things that we did in class. From the beginning, from high school, I had mentors that were always there for me, that always had, you know, an open door policy, and they always were able to talk to you and really get to know who you are and what you wanted in your dreams and your inspirations. And so I really think that, yeah, it is super beneficial to have someone who mentors you, because you learn from their mistakes and also create your own experience from that. So having now the ability to mentor someone in what they're doing, of what they're learning in their university courses, or what they've learned from different experiences that they've had at different job positions, is great to be able to give that lending hand to them from what I was given myself.
I love that you had mentors starting from high school, because I feel like that's not an experience that a lot of high schoolers have. Especially, I feel like in high school you have that sense of like, okay, we go to school and then like leave as soon as you can, because you're not really there for the social life in high school. You know, you want to leave and do your social life. In college, you want to be more surrounded by that. So I think it's great that you found it so early on. Kayla, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I have 3 quick notes. First of all, Samana, I totally resonate to what you're saying about how I do this exact same thing with my family, where it's like I'm a terrible mentor, and I really am on a journey of self-discovery, because I am like, well, just live your life exactly the way I tell you to, and it will be great, and that's not the indications of a great mentor. And so, that's something I'm really learning how to be a better mentor. But I have been surrounded my entire life by great mentors, and I've really sought out wonderful, strong female leads to really guide the way. And I will say that, don't just resonate to one person or one generation or one type of person or somebody that you see as a superior. I think that the best way to seek out mentors is to have a diverse set of mentors. I had a CFO who was my first real mentor, and she told me, she was like, you pick up this suitcase and it's full of all of your experiences and everything that you learn, you take that with you. Nobody can ever take that suitcase with you. Not this, it doesn't stay here with this job. And so that's really like, she's like, put everything you learned into that suitcase that you really want to be the type of leader that you want to be. I put that in that suitcase and take that with you. And for me, I think that was so powerful because I saw so many leaders, male, female, young, older, everybody has these attributes that you want to kind of usurp and use yourself and, take what's crap and then, push that away, but really hold on to the things that really resonate for you as a leader. And I'll say, like, I have mentors who are incredibly young and so incredibly smart. I was having a conversation with Roxana the other day, and something that she said was so powerful to me is she said, when I finish college, I really want to get a position where I don't have to wear a mask. I don't want to have to be somebody that I'm not, and I don't want to have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. And to me, I was like, damn, girl, like that is some powerful stuff. And I've really realized that, any kind of person can be a mentor as long as they align with your goals and your values, and don't let somebody who's just your superior be that mentor for you. Really try to resonate with all aspects, and that's how you really grow as a person, because if you only have one vision, you're only seeing one perspective, and you really can't grow from that. So I really encourage you all to seek out different kinds of mentors.
I love that, taking the best out of everyone for yourself.
I think that's the case.
Yeah, I think that it is important. I guess I'll be honest, I never thought about it that way, of having multiple people and mentoring me in different areas. I always felt like, okay, well, you're in data analytics. Well, that's where I want to go. So I'll have you mentor me the whole way. It's more of like finding yourself a group of people that have maybe related to that field or have experience in that field or are in the field, but just having different people will give you a different experience and give you a different pieces of the pie, so you can figure out what's the best way for you. I like that. I really love that. Now, everybody, if it's okay with you guys, I want to start heading into the breakout rooms. But first, I want to introduce so Ayla just put a link on the chat, you guys. So if you want to put your networks in there and so we can connect after this, that would be amazing. But for the breakout rooms, there's going to be 3 breakout rooms. If you RSVP'd for the event, we had you choose your first priority and your second priority, and we did our best to distribute it evenly. So if you didn't get your first priority, that's why, just because we wanted to make it even groups. And I just want to let you guys know what my goal is for these breakout rooms. I hope that you guys will be able to make yourself stand out. This is a great opportunity to use those networking skills that we learned on Monday, and we can get to know our speakers better. You can ask any questions you like, navigate the conversation as you like. And I hope that you can make connections that really build your networking, and that you can take longer than just this event. All right, everybody. So don't be shy. Our speakers love talking just like I do. And we can go ahead and get started with that right now. We'll have everybody put into their breakout rooms.
All right, I'm going to open all the rooms now. Is it showing for you?
All right, so we just have 2 people here. Oh, it's just us.
Yeah, and then I sent you to the nonprofit.
It's okay. I think I want a break.
Okay. Shyla, do you know which room you
I'm
want
like
to be?
sweating.
I think she walked away. I assigned her already. But that was so amazing.
I'm like, my back is sweating.